Welcome everyone to another edition of Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. Most of our stories today will be about the recent releases which happened yesterday. I have some information on Ali, Emma, Boogs, Aliyah, Elias, Riddick Moss, Top Dolla, Shelton Benjamin, Dolph Ziggler, Dana Brooke, Marseille Mansoir, Shanky, and a number of others as well that we will go through when it comes to why they were released. But we're also going to talk about a video of mine that went viral on CM Punk, the impending sales of TV rights to Raw and NXT, Becky Lynch's world tour with the NXT Championship, John Cena and AJ Styles as a tag team, a surprising name that somebody did try and put on the release lists, and something on the impending contract renewals, which are now open for business because of the releases that have been made. So I want to say a big hello to everyone. Hello to Bailey, Spider Boss, Wiggly, and Rocky on the Twitch side, and on the YouTube side. Hello to David, Joe, Ken, Raymond, Peter, Mark, Matthew, and Squid. Hello, everyone. Hello, Jordan, as well. We have quite a lot to get through. Hello, Michael. Nice to see you. Quite a lot to get through. So I'm going to start by essentially saying, what do you want to talk about first? What's most important to your heart from what I've just read out? And if you want to talk about the releases, who in particular do you want to start with? Hello, Razar. Hello, Daniela as well. We have 36 people already in the show, 15 likes in, 5 more gets us to 20. Hello, Ricky. Who is the top name that you want to talk about when it comes to releases? Daniela was the first suggestion of Rick Boogs. Let's do it. Rick Boogs was considered a pretty big deal when it came to his tag team with Shinsuke Nakamura. There was an intention for them to win the tag team championships, but it didn't quite manifest, unfortunately, because of the injury to Rick Boogs. His return was very, very brief, and it seems like it was rushed. The suggestion seems to be that he rushed back in order to try and find a space in WWE. Of course, there wasn't really a space in WWE, and that's why opportunities have not come his way. Essentially, at this point, they are cutting their losses with Rick Boogs because of a number of other smaller injuries that have happened since. They don't believe he has the charisma to be a star in his own right, even though he was in a very good team with Shinsuke Nakamura, and even though he was over, recurring releases, unfortunately, do mean that they simply do not have the faith in Rick Boogs to succeed. We have our first troll in the show. I'd imagine they're just basically following the word releases and WWE and just basically blurting out in the hope that someone will care about them. Nobody does, mate. Well done. Say hi and bye to the troll, guys. If I say hi to the troll, let's see what else they can come up with. See if they can come up with anything better. Ricky says, hey Tom, good to see you. Happy Friday. Much love goes out to you. Appreciate that. Matthew says, Dolph is very surprising. Raymond suggests Dolph as well. Ricky Fawn also saying Dolph Ziggler. Let's jump on with Dolph Ziggler then, because you also have Spider Boss saying, I really want to know why WWE fired Dolph Ziggler. And it comes to a very, very simple thing when it comes to Dolph Ziggler. Zero return on their investment. He wasn't injured, but was actively pursuing other elements of his career, and they simply didn't have any ideas for him. With that in mind, there was the occasional time when they requested him to take part in a match, and he wasn't able to attend or wasn't willing to attend. The WWE essentially have cut their losses with Dolph Ziggler because they simply do not believe there is anything else that he can offer them. They do not believe he has the star power to become any sort of star, as it were. And really, at this point, while he did have good moments, the best work he did was more than a decade ago. And since then, he's not exactly had the rub of the green, and he's not exactly been someone that people have really gotten behind. Dolph Ziggler was one of those, unfortunately, that they just couldn't really afford to keep. They were spending money and getting no benefit, and when it comes to Nick Khan's cost-benefit analysis, there is no real value to it. Wiggly is asking for my thoughts on Elimination Chamber taking place in Australia. We see more of the top PLEs taking place abroad now. Elimination Chamber is not a top PLE. Razar says Top Dolla was a weird release since he was kind of the leader of Hit Row. He was, and this is an interesting one, particularly as regards Hit Row. Primarily because even when they were initially called up and Swerve was a part of it, Top Dolla was supposed to be the top guy. There wasn't really that much heat behind Swerve, Ashanti the Adonis, B-Fab. I've spent most of today trying to get confirmation one way or the other whether or not Top Dolla was the only one released or whether all of Hit Row have been released. I haven't had a satisfactory answer. Now, when it comes to Top Dolla, this is quite an interesting one. Welcome, McMahon. Thank you very kindly for subscribing on the YouTube side to get notifications every time we go live for spoiler warning and for plenty of videos that come along with the territory as well. Thank you very much. And by all means, jump into the chat and ask questions. So with Top Dolla, there is an added element from what I've been able to gather. From what I can tell, there is a belief backstage, particularly amongst talent relations and creative, that Top Dolla simply isn't someone that they really believe is all in on wrestling. There is an idea, and it seems to be based on things like his social media, that he's not necessarily as big a team player, and that he doesn't really connect with fans. Now, when Top Dolla did return as part of Hit Row were used briefly and quite a strong overall package. Then they faded into the background. Then there was a heel turn. They don't believe that Top Dolla managed to gain any real fans in that time, and really that he was giving much to Hit Row. I personally wonder about this one because for me, social media is one of the strongest aspects of Top Dolla, but I suppose we won't find out now whether or not he was someone who gives or was able to reach that next level, or whether he was someone who would take. But we are where we are on that one. Wiggly says hi troll and bye troll. Marcel says hi Tom. Chris says hi troll and bye troll. Richard Martinez says, does WWE still have faith in B-Fab and Ashanti the Adonis as a pair? I don't know. As I say, I've been trying to find out what actually happened with Hit Row, and I can't get an answer. It's very possible that they have been released and they simply haven't shared that news with anyone. Not all of the dirt sheets and the different wrestling journalists have interests and contacts with every single person. So it's certainly possible that they've sort of drifted under the radar. At this point, though, I don't know. It's a difficult one to work out. Marcel says hi troll. Noob says hello Tom, how are you doing today? Doing well, thank you Noob. Welcome, good to see you. Smurfy Toon says Dolph and Mustafa Ali. Now we've done Dolph Ziggler. Let's talk Ali, because this is one where there was sort of a meeting in the middle. The phone call to Mustafa Ali literally started with the question, do you still want to be released? In the end he did. There were intentions for Ali. They did believe he was going to become something big, something really valuable, and something really credible. They have tried to push him in a number of ways, though never with particular faith behind it. Mustafa Ali was released essentially because he asked for it. And when it comes to the list of people that they were releasing, occasionally some of them do ask or do suggest that they want out. There's others in the list that this relates to. 23 says, does Vince McMahon trust Nick Khan? Yes, wouldn't have hired him otherwise. Alicia is asking for the WrestleMania plans. I've already reported at length on this one. Cody Rhodes seems to be the backup, but I would much rather see Solo Sikoa. Raymond having fun with the troll. Squid says, is Bobby Roode still with WWE? I feel like it's been years since I've seen him on TV. I don't believe so, no. There's a couple of producers that were let go, but it was quite late in the day, and I don't believe they've all been spoken to yet. Spider-Boss says, I liked the Jey Uso versus Drew match on Raw. Seeds planted for a heel turn for Drew. Seeds have been planted on that one for a little while. It does relate to his incoming contract as well. Spider-Boss says, WWE brought back Emma last year, and a year later WWE fired her. Yep. As regards Emma then, this, unfortunately, when it came to the list being put together, was one of the first names put down. They do not believe they got much of a return of their investment for Emma, but they didn't really try to get any return on their investment for Emma. So this one's pretty cut and dry. They had no plans for her and no intention to really use her. Christian Daniels, I'm just going to say this nicely, fuck right off. You are done and you will never be fucking back here. That's it. Right. So that's the situation with Emma. There are question marks about it, and I think she'll do well elsewhere. But it was just one of those situations. They brought someone back without any real plan to use her. Triple H, who brought her back, himself seemed to have no plans really to use her. It's a real shame, I feel, but they ended up with quite a bloated women's roster that they've not done anything with. And Triple H essentially, by the end of it, had to pick favourites. As we go through this list, there are still many names to discuss. I'm just going to strike some of them out that I've already discussed. That one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. So that I don't end up repeating myself on it. But we do have at the moment 63 people watching and only the 25 likes. 5 more will get us to 30. If you could be one of those, I would very much appreciate it. Danielle says Shelton next if you could, as he was in a team with Cedric. Cedric can hopefully break out in the singles division. I don't see Cedric Alexander breaking out in the singles division. Shelton Benjamin was one of those who there just wasn't any intention to use him. He's got a massive amount of experience and he was more being used as a trainer and a coach and a good voice in the locker room, but we have strong voices in the locker room without him being featured. So it was one of those where there wasn't really any value to keeping him. There was a discussion that took place about basically a voluntary redundancy, which I don't believe he took, but it was a while back. So, yeah. Cedric apparently still going. From what I can tell, he hasn't been released at this point in time, but I'll be keeping an eye on that one. Juana Roscoe says, hey Tom, what I meant to ask you yesterday was that if Mercedes money will eat up AEW's budget. No. That's pretty simple. Each person they sign does not directly impact the next person they sign. They have pretty considerable money. Ken says I got blocked on Twitter from Mia Yim because she did not like me telling the truth about Shelton Benjamin being released. Okay, well that's clearly not the full story there, Ken. Clearly not. Chris says I feel like Top Dolla would benefit more from being a TV host of some sort. Liked him better as a host of WWE Most Wanted Treasures than I did as a wrestler. Interesting take. Ken, I'm going to need you to send me the tweet that got you blocked by Mia Yim. We'll talk about it if you want. And by send it in the Discord. Now, if you don't send it, I'm assuming that you know you haven't given me the full story and you're going to scutter back into the hole. But if you do send it to me, we can have a look at it. Richard says, hello, Tom. John Cena is a face of the Fastlane poster. Does WWE have him face Solo now, or is there another match set for him? There is a match planned for this upcoming SmackDown, where we will, of course, be having ourselves a watch party that may give some inkling as to what the plan is. John Cena, though, is lining up for a match at Saudi Arabia Crown Jewel. Michael says, Top Dolla seemed to me as if he'd be one to rub people the wrong way. And he did. Unfortunately so. I don't feel his wrestling let him down. I don't feel his attitude let him down. I feel other people let him down. Daniel Berry is here saying, hey. Ricky Thorne says, some of these cuts, do you see them going to AEW? Yes, but a much smaller amount than most people are predicting. Ken says, can you talk about Emma? Done that one. Juan believes Emma will used to be in Ring of Honor. Maybe AEW for her. I find it unlikely. Ken says, no cherry coke. No, I am drinking good old-fashioned orange juice. And I have a bottle of Lucozade Sport to keep me upright until 3 a.m. David says Dana Brooke. Let's talk Dana Brooke then, because she is one who's previously discussed getting released with the WWE. She did have plans to work a different schedule which would allow her to compete in bodybuilding competitions, which in many ways is her first love, and there is a plan basically for her to go and do that. But the WWE, she was talking to them about allowing her to go and work those bodybuilding competitions while still paying her for her contract. They couldn't come to terms on it, but the clear interest that Dana Brooke had in working elsewhere did not work in her favour. The WWE, of course, now have released her. Jay Brown says, no R-Truth release. No. Michael says, Emma had 13 matches in 11 months. They didn't want her. And yeah, When it comes to the returns that Triple H brought back, Emma's the one of which I thought, oh, right. Because it was clear straight away. No intention, no plan whatsoever was actually put into place for Emma. And I think, unfortunately, this is the case with too many of these returners. That they came back, there was a house of fire for a moment, and then pretty much immediately afterwards, what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Many of these people were let down by extremely questionable booking. And I think there's a few people who only made it off this list because of the way that they've consistently been used, even if it's not potentially being used well. Marcel says, PWInsider says, tonight John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy and Solo. That was at Fastlane. Was it at Fastlane? I don't believe it was announced. Spider-Boss says, it surprised me Dana Brooke got fired yesterday. She was doing well in NXT. They were. And Bailey says, what about the NXT releases? They were mostly invisible. The NXT releases were largely put together by the coaches in NXT. And the coaches essentially got together and said who's going to make it and who isn't. They decided who wasn't going to make it in their eyes, and they were released. Wiggly says, Tommy, are you going to any of the upcoming house shows? Nope. Hector says, afternoon, Tom. Curious to know if the WWE and TKO wanted to cut costs. Does it actually make a dent to cut the salaries of wrestlers and office people who don't really make much money? Or did they just need to cut costs any way they could? They had a amount of cuts that they were looking for. They managed to sort of cut down that amount based on the amount of additional income they have for the Australia deal and the deal with NBC Universal. However, as we move further forwards at this point, we are at a point where there was still an amount that needed to be saved. There was a cost-benefit analysis list put together by Nick Khan in order, that there was an order of people they believe they should release first, subsequently from there, and with this in mind, they were able to reach an amount that they were happy with. There are more names on that list. Okay? There are more names. This may not be over. They will essentially look at how much money they've now saved and work out if they want to release anyone else to get to the operating costs that they're looking for. Ricky Fawn says, is there any truth that Endeavour is tired of Vince? Nope. I've mentioned before, in fact several months ago, that there was an issue with Ari Emanuel and Vince McMahon. Primarily that Ari Emanuel really wasn't happy that Vince McMahon was getting so much negative press and told him essentially, you got to get back in your box. You know what happened? Vince McMahon got back in his box and they're pretty happy right now. Will says, with Jade maybe coming in WWE, do you know if some WrestleMania plans have changed? I'm not aware that any WrestleMania plans have changed. Ken says, I think Emma will return to Impact. Once again, there is a number of different wrestling companies, and those that made it are the exception, not the rule. Murphy says, do you think that since Ali was granted his release, will more stars who want to be released, will they be granted it? Possibly. It very much... Sorry, pardon me, I've got real gas at the moment. I do apologise. Right, so, where was I? Yeah, so it does open a few doors for more potential releases if people have requested them. There will be plenty more people who may be considering it and maybe taking an option, and there will be, shall we say, clandestine discussions about whether or not we're going to have under-the-table offers made from different wrestling companies. Wiggly says, how come we're having Fastlane now and not before WrestleMania? Because Elimination Chamber is now the one before WrestleMania, and they leave a gap in case of Saudi Arabia. Smurfy says, do you think... I've already read that one. Vegeta says she had a great run in Impact. I would imagine... Oh, no, you're just being a dick to Ken. Okay, why? Like, he's entitled to his opinion. Can we not do this when it comes to releases? Can we not do this? 23 says, why is AEW attendance so low? It depends where you go. Gary says, it's a shame to see people like Maximum Male Models and Ikemen Jiro are being released. Comic relief is my favourite thing in wrestling. Right. So, let's talk about Marseille and Mansoir. And to be clear, they gave up on them a couple of months ago when they moved Maxine Dupree, who they do believe has star power, to work with the Alpha Academy. They are experimenting, as you've seen a little bit when it comes to Marseille's recent Twitch stream. They were experimenting with a number of different ideas, different videos, clips and ways to get over, and a few character recreations. But unfortunately, they did believe that they've got enough credit, as it were, in Saudi Arabia now that they don't need a Saudi Arabian wrestler. They also believe at this point that they've tried enough with Marseille, which I'm not happy with as an idea, but he's had a number of characters and they've not really connected with an audience in any way. Now, I blame the characters, personally, but he didn't really connect with the audience, and that is very, very true. Even though I really enjoyed the Maximum Male models in general, it was a Vince McMahon idea that failed to take off spectacularly, to the point that he himself wanted to fire them after about 2 weeks of it appearing on SmackDown. They didn't really have a chance, unfortunately. Daniela says, Ikemenjiro, again, it's an experiment that they don't consider working out. They're not really planning NXT Asia for a little while longer, so they got rid of a few wrestlers that would have factored into it. Sean says, are you excited for Io versus Asuka tonight? Yes, I am. You just know it's going to be a great match. So you've got to be invested in stuff like that. Spider-Boss says, I hope Cora Jade doesn't get fired. And anyone else? Is it just Cora Jade? Raymond says, I'd like to see Emma go back to Impact. She would fit well there. Oh, Squid's happy. So, Troll back. Everyone say hi and bye to the Troll. Hi and bye, Troll. Jay Size already said this, but I'll repeat it. We do not speculate on who might be released. I know a couple of names on the list, but I don't really want to be sitting here sharing it. Eric says, I was worried Cora Jade was trending on Twitter while they were doing NXT cuts. Plenty more people's names were trending on NXT, but it looks like you're only really worried about Cora Jade. Rizal says, today I saw on PWInsider that WWE's trademarked global localization. I remember you mentioning that a while back. Yes, I did. That was quite a while back. Vegeta says it was veterans, people who wanted to go, and people they didn't believe in. Yeah, that's how releases work. Wiggly says, I've joined in on... It's still talking about me again. Spider-Boss says, when we could see Liv Morgan back on TV, when she is cleared and they have a plan for her. Daniela, nobody who actually knows anything is saying that Tegan Knox has been released. No Edward Brooks. I have not yet watched Wrestlers. I may do at some point soon. I'm excited to check it out, but at this point in time, I just haven't got around to it. Jay Brown says, any plans? Is Vince stepping down? No. What? I don't know where you're getting this from. I just got to be really clear. I don't know where you're getting this from. But it's garbage. Absolute, utter, contemptible, pointless garbage. And whoever has told you this, they're lying to you. Okay? Spider-Boss says, I wonder why Aliyah got fired yesterday. Right, so Aliyah. Next up, Aliyah. Aliyah is another kind of interesting one in that she was shifted out of NXT with no real plan. It wasn't a case of her being called up as kicked out. They didn't know what to do with her in NXT. They didn't really know what to do with her in main roster. And as that roster has grown, they had even less ideas for her. From what I can tell, much like football analogies, she doesn't train particularly well, and WWE just weren't excited by what she was giving them in the locker rooms and in rehearsals and in general house shows. That said, she's also picked up a number of injuries recently and doesn't seem to be able to get over it to a point where they're able to clear her. It's a shame. Bailey says, what are the average salaries in Impact versus WWE and AEW? Low. Yes, it's a living wage. Will says, with WWE making a lot of money on the pay-per-view and house show, I'd imagine there's more to that. Vegeta says, I bet Vince, even if he steps down, he'll try to control creative. Nope. Didn't last time. Chris says, Marseille wasn't a bad announcer, if I'm being honest. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think there were many, many strings to his bow. and we've missed out on an opportunity to really find out what else he can deliver. We currently have 83 people watching and only the 42 likes. 3 more will get us to 45. If you're one of the half of our viewers who hasn't hit like yet, please do consider doing so. It gives a massive boost to the algorithm, keeps people coming in, keeps the chat going, and keeps the channel growing as well. So if you're able to, please remember to hit that like. Just 3 more gets up to 45. Right, we've got the rest of it. Will says, with WWE making a lot of money on the pay-per-view and house shows, do you think that could help with stopping the firing? WWE have made that money already and have still fired people. I think that answers the question. Wiggly says, the beauty of Twitch is we don't see the trolls. Twitch does seem to be doing pretty well in that regard. That said, I don't make any money on Twitch beyond the generous donations that I get. Whereas here on YouTube, if I do, I think it's 5 ads run through the live stream, I could make a living doing this every day. That said, it's really egregious, and it means a lot of people leave. So it doesn't quite work that way. Sean says, any word on Gargano's status? Johnny Gargano has not been released. Pete says, Elias has been released, but has Ezekiel been saved? I hope he has. Now, I didn't read that joke at all during yesterday's show, but I do feel now's the time to point out it is quite funny and well played to everyone. Elias has left the WWE. This comes down to comparisons. Sorry, guys. This comes down to comparative talent. They were of the opinion that Elias was going to be huge, and so they put him with a number of different big name stars in order to try and get him to a level where he then became the big name star. They are now trying to do that with Grayson Waller because they don't believe it worked with Elias. Elias himself never got over to a significant enough degree that they were willing to either make him face or take him further. A large part of this was experiments such as the Walk with Elias, where he would be playing a gig at a local venue, I believe it was in New Orleans, and he would then take the fans and walk with Elias to WrestleMania. Unfortunately, they did not get the sales they were looking for. This continued, and recently he's been out of action and unavailable. The COVID era basically was the end for Elias. Spider-Boss says, for me, a company that is sports entertainment, it's bad that they fired Marseille and Mansoir, who were very good entertainers. I agree. I very much agree with that, but it's one of those where they do believe that the roster is too big, and I honestly can't really blame them. Wow, Ken, that's massively unnecessarily harsh. What is with you? That's the tweet, isn't it? That's the tweet you sent to Mia Yim. Ken, is that the tweet you sent to Mia Yim? Because if it is, you deserved it. Richard says, hello Tom, Io missed Payback. Does her match tonight mean she missed Fastlane as well? Possibly. They are doing a rotation at the moment, and it does look like Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax will take place at Fastlane, but it's also possible Rhea Ripley is injured to get her to the point where they can go back to Saudi Arabia with that match. We'll have to wait and see. Jay will miss Elias. Oh God, the trolls are really coming for it today, aren't they? Pointless people. You really have no value in the world. Joey says, hey Tom, do you expect more budget cuts to happen? I don't know, but I know that the cost-benefit analysis list was longer than the total number of names that we've seen so far. It's a longer list. Bailey says, the stories about Vince leaving may be tied to a story in Axios titled WWE founder Vince McMahon sets the stage for his possible exit because he can sell his shares at any time. He always could. I don't know what else to tell people on that one, but this isn't a huge breaking news story. Vince McMahon has shares that he can sell. He'd still have a job. He's not paid only in shares. So I'm interested to find out where Axios got their information from, because, yeah, that's normal. So I run a business in order to host these shows, and I am the primary shareholder. If I sell that share, I'm not the primary shareholder. I still have a job. Joey says, are the annual budget cuts coming back with the Endeavour deal? I have no idea. There is no guarantee one way or the other. Essentially, they're going to want to bring it down to a level whereby they're managing the amount of people on the roster. In order to manage that amount, they need it to be a certain level where they don't believe they're going over budget. If anyone plays, for example, Football Manager, you will know that you have a certain amount of budget and you can spend that on as many footballs as you want as long as you don't go over budget. That's the WWE now. Hi, 1 Minute Wrestler. How are you? Good to see you. Gomar says, I've heard rumours of Carlito being signed. Gomar, I'm going to need you to source that, or I'll source it for you. He's PWInsider. Wasn't you, mate? If that were the case, I'm surprised he wouldn't have been released since they're not doing anything with him if he is signed. There are also, of course, rumours that AOP, the Authors of Pain, have been signed. We'll have to wait and see if anything actually happens there. Ken says, I saw someone on Twitter say Jada Parker will be Jade Cargill's name if she signs with WWE. So, again, Ken, what's happening here? Because you just brought source as someone on Twitter. I'm going to be really blunt with you, mate. You screwed up with that tweet to Mia Yim, if that was in fact the tweet, which I haven't seen you confirm yet. I'll say that. But just throwing things out there, that's not what we do here, and you know this. Okay? Just want to be very clear before this goes further. Chris says, I know it's a little early, but I do think that at some point WWE will bring back Elias. Possibly. We'll have to wait. I don't think Triple H has the power that he did when he first took over. C-Max says, to me it started going downhill for Elias with the Ezekiel story. Disagree. I loved it. Sean says, hello Tom. Hello Sean. Spiderboss says, Elias' segment with Kevin Owens in Seattle years ago was funny. They really got heavily booed. Joey says, do you have any news on Vince possibly being forced out? Nope, because it's not true. Rial says, hey Tom, sorry I'm late, hope you and the family are doing well. The family are having a great day out today, which I won't give any details of, but they're having a fantastic time, and that means I am as well. I'm getting the occasional picture from the event. Bailey says, additional quote from Axios, thank you kindly. The new combined entity TKO has registered all of McMahon's shares for sale, thus enabling him to avoid the lockup period that applies to other TKO stockholders like Endeavour and Silver Lake. He does have a job though. But I appreciate the direct sourcing there. Hector says, as we know by now, NBC Universal has secured the future broadcasting rights for SmackDown. Where do you see the rights for Raw and NXT? And to your knowledge, did Fox even make an offer or no? That is one of the pieces of news I have. Once we're through the chat and all of the releases, we will get to that. Yes, Dominic, we are doing a SmackDown watch party tonight. Spiderboss says, after seeing Judgment Day on the Raw show in Canada, I wondered if fans really boo Dominic Mysterio or the WWE's piped reactions. They have been known at times to use piped in reactions to get the crowd going, much like they used to do the chant for Goldberg, but it is real. Steve Englund says, with SmackDown leaving Fox next year, would you expect it to stay on Friday or shift to a different day? SmackDown is staying on Friday. Sean says on his Twitch, Mansour said the reason he never wrestled on NXT was because he wasn't allowed to lose due to the Saudi deal. I did mention that, didn't I? I did mention that. He was very heavily protected because of that Saudi deal. Michael, thank you kindly, says someone on Twitter is how Zero News and BWE became sources. Yeah, because people spread that crap. Howie Odell, welcome sir, says I think Dolph would be an excellent All Elite. Let him run with Adam or Omega. I could see that working. I don't think he'd get the money that he was looking for though, so I don't think he'd be going to All Elite Wrestling. Sai is saying, can we get to 60 likes? We're currently on 54, so let's actually set an easier target. 55 is one away. We have 87 people watching. We are one like away from 55. Can you be the one to get me that 55? Raymond says, every single wrestler that was released have value and will land somewhere. That is incorrect, unfortunately. Not every wrestler makes it. Evening, Howie. What's up, KJ? Right. So, Ken, I'm going to let other people tell you their thoughts and their opinions on that, because I've told you mine. You deserve to be blocked. Razar says, are WWE aware of how repetitive Raw has been lately? They're doing Judgment Day versus KO and Sammy for the 100th time next week. I don't know on this one. It's really hard to work out, but I would hope they do. Joe says, Tom, I really love the Becky one you did this morning. It was really good. I love what you do. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. KJ says, I'll be honest, Ziggler being released was surprising and honestly made me sad. He didn't deserve to go out like that. True. Eric, hello, says, hello, Tom Colohue, just here taking all the information about yesterday's WWE releases. We did start right at the beginning of the show. Joey says, did they know Ali had a pay-per-view match in NXT? Why did they fire him? They knew, and as I said earlier, they just knew that he wanted to go and they were trying to cut costs. Daniela says, could Ricochet and Cedric get back together as a team? Ricochet isn't doing anything and it gets Cedric on TV and builds them both up in the tag division. Ricochet right now, by extension, is involved in the feud between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins. So he is doing something. That said, I don't think that tag team would be a bad thing. Sean says, since Mansoor was never allowed to lose, there's your guy to beat Roman. He just got fired, mate. Tyranitar Salamence. There is a Pokemon fan and a half. Lovely name. Says, how would we know if someone asked to be released? We would have to hear from them. We would. And Mustafa Ali was very open about the fact that he asked to be released. There is obviously a lot of reporting, different wrestling journalists and speculation, but that is one thing that we do know for certain because he made it public knowledge on Twitter. Carnage says, I don't know why WWE released them. I'm trying to share everything I've got, guys. I'm trying to share everything I've got. Joey says, do you know why the Tegan and Becky match got scrapped? There never was a Tegan and Becky match. Becky, in fact, no, that's for a little bit further down. But what I will say is there was never a Tegan and Becky Lynch match. Thank you, guys. We have hit 55. We're now on 58, in fact. Can I get two more? Pete says, isn't Dolph looking more towards his comedy and acting? Could be wrong as usual. You are not. You are not. Usai says, we were on 56 likes when I posted that. Clearly someone changed their mind. Maybe it's just a delay on my side. Who knows? KJ says, anything new on CM Punk today, Tom? Hausman? I think his name has gone quiet. A little something. In fact, let's dive into that now. It's right, how to explain this properly. But a little bit about where we are with YouTube at the moment. Over the last few days, one of my videos, one of my shorts, received an extra 3,000 views. It is 2 weeks old. Okay? It is 2 weeks old, and suddenly out of nowhere, it got 3,000 views over the last 24 hours. It was a video where I was at a wedding, and my background was gorgeous, was absolutely gorgeous. And I was talking about wrestlers being willing to walk out if CM Punk joined the company. So if CM Punk joined WWE, there was people saying to me that wrestlers would walk out. And it randomly got an extra 3,000 views and is now sitting on 3,700 views. That is 5.3 times higher than my normal shorts and a higher average watch percentage. It is a 17-second short and it gave me 3,700 views. The main reason for this is that when it came to the YouTube advertising we attempted recently, one of the videos I was pushing was a video on CM Punk, meaning that YouTube has been waiting for the right moment to take all of those subscribers that we gained recently and give them a video about something that they've already watched and already liked, which might be why we've had a couple of trolls in, because YouTube just started advertising us to the subscribers that joined to try and get them more invested. It does mean we will start to lose a few numbers. I have lost 3 subscribers today, for example. However, I'm not really losing anything. I'm still going up in the number overall day by day, and in addition to that, anyone I'm losing wouldn't watch anyway, so there's no real downside to it. But that's just a little something about what happens on YouTube. Sean says, TKO itself says in a regulatory filing, Vince McMahon's membership on our board could expose us to negative publicity and or have other adverse financial or operational impacts on our business. Thank you very kindly, Sean. That does confirm what I've already reported about issues between TKO and Vince McMahon that were a while back. Lauren, hello, says, any chance there's news on Mox's injury and status? To my knowledge, he's pretty much fine, but they're going to leave him be for a while just to make sure he's okay. Sean, I appreciate you finding that source, just to be clear, and sourcing it. Carnage says, I've only watched a few streams from this channel, and they're amazing. The first one I watched was the Bray Wyatt SmackDown Tribute Show. Very much appreciate you joining us, Carnage. Sorry that that was how it started, but I appreciate you sticking around with us. Hello, BM. How you doing? Lauren says, good to see everyone tonight. Welcome, Lauren. Nice to see you. Adrian says, any news on Edge's status? The contract offer is still in his inbox. He is taking time out to work out what he wants to do. It doesn't look like he's willing to sign it just yet. I believe if he does sign it, we won't hear about it until the Royal Rumble. The man likes making Royal Rumble returns. Joey says SRS, that being Fightful, said Quincy Elliott had a lot of heat backstage in NXT, explains why he got cut. Clyde says, hope all is well, Tom, and those in the chat, have a blessed weekend and enjoy SmackDown. Thank you, Clyde, welcome. Gomez says, my bad, I meant PWInsider Dave Meltzer also mentioned it, Wrestling Observer Radio, not a source and don't claim to be one. Appreciate you, Gomar, very much appreciate you for saying that. Oh, Tyranitar was a troll. So many of them. So disappointing. So disappointing. The same guy. Honestly. We always get them, don't we? But today, you've just got one person with literally no life. Everyone say hi to the troll, everyone say bye to the troll. Because, wow. I know you'll be back because you have literally nothing else of value in your entire life. And I look forward to that then. But until then, why? Why? Pete says, sorry, did Tom just say I wasn't wrong? Can I get it framed for the missus? Of course you can. Spider-Boss says, apart from Seth Rollins, I wonder who else doesn't want to see CM Punk back in WWE. Howie says, new subscriber as of this show. Nice production. Thank you, Howie. We actually have Sai to thank for that. The box, the overlay is made by Sai. We have quite a range of them, actually. If I throw over the SmackDown one, for example, for tonight's watch party, is one of those. And I'm very happy with, obviously, the level of production that we have, the decent audio quality and the like. But I think a lot of props has to go to Sai when it comes to the overall look of the show. Sean says, do you think Saudi could be upset about Mansoor? Nope. Sean says, Becky's being advertised for tonight's SmackDown. So let's talk about that. Becky Lynch essentially is on a world tour right now, and by world tour I mean Raw, NXT and SmackDown. She is a free agent. She can go wherever the hell she wants, and she'll be taking the NXT Championship with her. The intention is to draw as much attention to the NXT Women's Championship as possible. It's something they attempted to do many, many moons back with Charlotte Flair, and it just didn't quite work out. This is a way that they're trying to get an increase in revenue for NXT deal, and if they get the increase in revenue that they're looking for, it will mean that they don't have to go for the next lot of releases. They're also trying the same with Raw. The USA Network, NBC Universal, is attempting to get hold of Monday Night Raw. They have made a bid for NXT, but they don't feel they're likely to get it. As regards Fox, they did make a bid for SmackDown. It wasn't anywhere close to what they were looking for. Chris says, Edge has been known to play his cards close to his chest. Yes, he has. Joey says, I thought Dolph was a WWE lifer. Did they not value him as much as we thought? I think they were just done at this point, to be honest. They were just kind of done. Interesting, Howie. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate it. It also says, just block them, do not begin connection with the trolls. Okay, here's the thing. I need to explain this because we now live in a world where feeding the trolls is genuinely financially beneficial. So, there is something on YouTube called a chat rate. You'll have noticed I'm saying a lot about likes. And by the way, we have 62 likes but 79 people. 3 more likes gets up to 65. So, come on, give me what you got. Give me what you got. Give me what you got. That helps boost the show and helps guarantee more viewers coming into the show. And I can see on my number of viewers exactly when people gave a lot of likes because you see the viewers go up and up and up. There is also something called chat rate, which right now is at a 1, but earlier in the show was quite high. Let's have a look. Chat rate peaked at, quite high, 10. And that means essentially I got 10 messages per minute. This is great stuff. I get hundreds of comments in every single one of these shows. The higher the chat rate, much like likes, the more viewers we have coming into the show. And once again, you can see those spikes. So trolls are annoying as hell quite a lot, but they also feed the chat rate. And that, by the way, is why we do hi troll, bye troll in 2 separate messages. Because that chat rate go boom. And it's a really easy way that without spamming, you can help this channel grow. So I don't mind a little bit of troll hate. I really don't. Bailey says, also on the Vince chatter, Forbes reported that Vince McMahon was served a federal search warrant and a grand jury subpoena last month, but they don't say why. Any recent news on either of those? Nothing that I would be willing to discuss in this forum. I hope you understand, Bailey. I don't think you'll be too surprised by the answer, but nothing that I'm willing to discuss in this forum. Joey says, do you know what the plan is for John Cena at Fastlane since he's advertised for the show? More on that very soon. In fact, that would be up next once I've mentioned a couple of more people and caught up with the chat. KJ says, would you say it's highly unlikely that WWE signs Mercedes, Punk and Edge? Yes. Howie says, territories need to open and work together again. It's best for the fans, and that's his opinion, and you're welcome to it. KJ says, Mansoor hasn't been on the last 3 Saudi shows, by the way, which is a very fair comment. They probably wouldn't be too upset by that. Smurfy says, I wish the trolls best of luck in their future endeavours, and so you should. Lovely. Sai says, always happy to do spoiler warning overlays. Fun fact, the yellow stripes are based on the original idea of police tape. Warning, tape, get it, but we canned it. I think I might still have it somewhere. Let me check. Nope, even though I should use that more often. That's the one. It's all still there. I never get rid of anything. Probably should. 23 Fresh says, what networks do you think Raw and NXT will go to? I think Raw will likely stay in NBC Universal. NXT, I'm not sure, but Disney are genuinely trying. Ken, you are perfectly entitled to give your honest opinion, and she is perfectly entitled to block you. That cool? Chris says, Dave Meltzer suggested if NBC secures Raw, they may consider moving Raw to another night. I kind of hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, there was lots of talk about SmackDown moving to another night. It didn't, but there was lots of talk about it. Spider-Boss says, do you think Becky makes it to the end of the year as NXT Women's Champion? Yeah, it's not that long. James is here, says, what's going on, Tom? Going good, thank you, James. Welcome. Ricky Fawn says, love you, Tom. Thank you for all that you do for us. I appreciate you so much, buddy. Thank you, Ricky. Blue says, thanks for all your hard work, Tom. Thank you kindly, Blue. James says, any news for SmackDown? A little bit, yes. I've discussed Becky Lynch making her appearance. Let's talk John Cena. John Cena and AJ Styles, according to PWInsider, will be facing Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa tonight on SmackDown. That was one of my predictions a couple of weeks ago for WWE Fastlane. Pardon me. For WWE Fastlane. It may be that they are rushing John Cena, who was originally supposed to be here for 2 months and was supposed to be having a match in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabia match seemed likely to be John Cena versus Solo Sikoa, but that may happen sooner rather than later. There is also a possibility of him working with LA Knight, and of course, in addition, plenty of more people. For example, The Miz and who's the other one? Grayson Waller. So there's a lot of people that John Cena wants to work with, but as has been mentioned by JJ a little further down the chat, the writer's strike seems like it might be coming to an end soon, so he's trying to hedge his bets. John Cena and AJ Styles tonight, facing Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. There is no guarantee of a conclusive finish. JJ says hopefully Becky is able to bring more eyes to NXT. The views have been doing good since she's been there, and not just her, to be fair, plenty more people involved. Spider-Boss says Tony Storm's been really funny with her new gimmick. Her match with Saraya was good. KJ says, I don't want to mention this because I don't want to offend anyone over talking about wrestlers losing their jobs, but do you think Triple H had say as to who got cut yesterday and everyone who was cut? Well, right, okay, I understand what you're saying, KJ. That's absolutely fine. Triple H had no say. Can report that 100% right now. Triple H had no say in anyone who was released. He had plans for many of them. Leeds delivers, says, liking from my other account, you rock, Tom. Thank you very much, Pete. Joey says, was there ever a plan for Emma, or did they not know what to do with her once she was back? To my knowledge, there was no actual plan. Sean says, do you see Becky retaining over Tiffany? For now, yes. I don't think Tiffany will be the one to get the championship away from her. Will says, was it Triple H's idea? The W and the H aren't particularly connected. Will, I'm going to need you to clarify. Noah says, why did Becky Lynch win the NXT Championship? To bring more eyes to NXT, essentially to try and encourage more viewership in NXT, which would then guarantee a higher amount of income when they eventually sold the TV rights. Rizal says, Raw being on another night wouldn't feel right, to be honest. Don't worry, BM. I've opened it up. People are entitled to their opinions. I do think this could be a learning experience. Hector says, with the future of live streaming moving towards live programming being a part of streaming services, is there any chance NXT could stream live on somewhere like Disney Plus or Peacock, or is that not likely? I did say Disney are coming pretty hard for NXT. Sean says, do you think Dominic makes it to the end of the year as North American champion? I do not. Dad says, big up Tom, sorry for being late. Who's next for Roman at Fastlane? No one. Roman Reigns will not be defending the championship at Fastlane. He will be defending it next in Saudi Arabia, as reported exclusively right here on the Tom Colohue channel, and then a couple of weeks later by Dave Meltzer. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why WWE paired Grayson Waller with Austin Theory to give him more match experience. Michael says, do you think that if there's another round of releases, they'd come at the same time as the TV deals for Raw and NXT? Yes, I do. I do feel they're waiting to see how much money they make on these deals before they then continue with the releases that they still have on the list. Spider-Boss says, my pick to beat Becky for the NXT Women's title is Roxanne Perez. Joey says, did Vince have a say in these cuts or was it all Nick Khan? Vince had a say in the severity of the cuts. Nick Khan decided who the cuts would be. Howie is just very, very happy. KJ says, damn, Triple H had no say. That worries me. What if they cut someone that's a big deal? Then they would be cutting someone that's a big deal, and Triple H, unfortunately, would have to deal with it. We currently have 91 people watching and only the 65 likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up. 5 more gets us to 70, and at that point, we start to chase records, because that is a big number. Also, if it is your first time here, please do consider subscribing. We go live every Monday and every Friday with these shows, and we want you to join us to get the news as it comes in live. You will find news here that you don't find anywhere else. There is a reason, of course, why I'm referencing so many things that I've already reported, just so that people are aware. We report the news here. One of the biggest news stories that we reported was the return of Becky Lynch at SummerSlam 2 years ago. We were the only place that reported it the day before it happened. It didn't make the headlines. What we do on a YouTube video doesn't make the headlines. Be sure to subscribe. Oh, god damn it. Here we go again. Troll didn't last very long. James says, is there any news on if there are going to be house shows in other states and Australia when Elimination Chamber happens? At the moment, there is no plan to do that. There is likely to be some element of it. There is also possibly going to be a SmackDown there. They're negotiating that as we speak. But in addition to that, other wrestling shows will move over to Australia for events of the like. Razar says, are the Raw and SmackDown TV rights up at the same time? Nope. Ricky says, any news on Randy Orton, Tom? Just asking. I've tried to give all the information I can on Randy Orton. As you guys know, I am way ahead when it comes to the Randy Orton story in giving all of the information that I can. News that I released in February came out on the rest of the dirt sheets in July. So be sure to check out on that one. Spider-Bell says Bayley's 2022 return and Bray Wyatt's return were first reported by Spoiler Warning. Yes, they were indeed. I sometimes get told that I don't report any big news. Seems like pretty big news to me. KJ says, imagine Michael Cole saying, welcome to Tuesday Night Raw on Disney+. Gomar's hyped for Roman and AJ at Crown Jewel, wants to see them face off again. That seems the most likely time that we will see that match. And Zane Charles gave the stream a thumbs up. Thank you, Zane. Ross says, another excellent spoiler warning, Tom. Releases are unfortunate but happen from time to time. Hopefully those released can find positive employment. Very true. There are 2 people that we were not asked about for the releases. I will wrap those up now. Shanky. I spoke about Ikemenjiro. I spoke about Emma in many ways. Fit this agenda. Mansoor as well. They've been trying to sign wrestlers who fit demographics. For example, Australian wrestler for when they go to Australia, etc. A Saudi Arabian wrestler for when they go to Saudi Arabia, blah, blah, blah. The release of Shanky was just another example of that. They did try a couple of things to get Shanky over. I don't think they tried very hard, though. and it didn't really work in the end. Huge star Shanky, who returned in the Indian show, and the Dirt Sheets were spreading that as a massive star returning after more than a year out, was released. They didn't have any plans to use him. And lastly, Riddick Moss. The end of Madcap Moss was the end of Riddick Moss. That's all I can really say on that one. They didn't believe there was any real potential there. Pete says, I'm off to bed. Hope SmackDown Watch Along goes fabulous, and I'll catch you all later. Thank you, Pete. I'll see you soon, and have a great day. KJ says, Tom, it's possible Elimination Chamber will start 6 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 a.m. Pacific. What time will it be for you, KJ? Size absolutely got you there. It is 11 a.m. in the UK. Eastern Time plus 5 hours is UK time. Spiderboss says, I bet SRS, Fightful, and Meltzer, Wrestling Observer, and PWInsider watch Spoiler Warning because they try to come up with Mercedes money news and other news we already saw on Spoiler Warning. It's always nice to see how often my news is confirmed by other journalists. Of course, a few weeks later and I don't get mentioned, but there's plenty of times when I'm confirming something from them as well. Sean says, did you see that Moss said he didn't answer his phone when he got called? Yeah, so Riddick Moss found out he was released because of a dirt sheet. Dirt sheet might be impolite. Wiggly says, Tom, can I ask for you the highlight of Dolph Ziggler's time? For me, it was him getting the win at Survivor Series with help from Sting. The cash-in, mate. It's the cash-in. No question it's the cash-in. The moment at Survivor Series was good. Would have been even better if not for the fact that Sting had to help him. Imagine if he'd just won that match. Career made. I'd have had him win that year's Royal Rumble, to be honest. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. What's left? Right, one more thing to mention. Now that releases have taken place, they can push ahead with contract offers for AOP, Kairi Sane, Jade Cargill, and contract renewal offers for Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Becky Lynch. Their plan at this point is to finish their hiring, finish any renewal for contracts coming up in the next 12 months, then reassess what they need to cut. If, for example, Drew McIntyre doubles his money, and I'm not saying he is, I'm saying as an example, if he doubles his money, they will make cuts to find that money elsewhere. KJ says, to be fair, Shanky never showed up on WWE TV after Triple H took over. Yep. Spiderboss says, my favourite Dolph Ziggler match was his match with Seth Rollins at SummerSlam 2018. Was that the one that they really, really hated everyone about? Like, they hated the Iron Man match. Could not stand it. Razar says, how does a dirt sheet find out someone is getting released before the person themselves? That's crazy, because they see the list. Someone sees the list and sends it to them. Joe says, come on guys, let's get to 70 likes. Tom is the best. 4 more. 4 more will get us to 70 likes. Wiggly says, do you envisage MJF in the WWE someday? Yes, I do. JJ says, what about Seth? Is his contract coming up too? I'm not sure. I honestly do not know on that one. When it comes to contracts, I've got to be blunt, I'm not the most well informed. Dad says, who's next for MJF? Still a bit more Samoa Joe. Joey says, do you know if Brian Pillman Jr. has already signed or is he waiting too? To my knowledge, there wasn't actually an intention to have Brian Pillman Jr. sign a wrestling contract. But if there is, it will be a case that he is actively waiting to do so. Nia Jax, to my knowledge, by the way, is currently working without contract, but will be making a contract soon. And that is all the news. We will be live in just over 2 hours for a full watch party of WWE SmackDown. If you want more news, if you want more chat, if you want to check out more, that's the place to do it. So, I will be launching the Go Live for SmackDown right after this. I'll be putting it in the Discord for anyone who doesn't know how to find it. But if you just basically stick to this YouTube channel, if you hit the thumbs up, if you hit subscribe, if you haven't already, you will find that you are alerted when we go live. Joey, the Cena news was essentially about Cena and Styles and a little bit of the future. That was in there. So at this point, I'll just like to say thank you very much to all of you. I've been Tom Colohue, you have been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.